The emergency meeting room aboard Diplomatia Prime buzzed with a tension more pungent than sulfur-steamed grack meat. Species from 12 star systems, each with different biologies, customs, and tolerances, sat in a ring of translucent hoverchairs, glaring at the center holofeed. The footage played again, on loop. A Alari ambassador, normally serene and cold-blooded, was belly flopping into a marble fountain, singing what linguists believed to be a Bollywood remix. A moment later, the same alien clutched his thorax, whispering, "The mango, the forbidden mango!" before fainting. Minister Colvern folded his 6 limbs neatly and rose. His voice, filtered through the universal translator, carried the tone of absolute finality. "Once again I ask, is this culinary diplomacy? Or weaponized chaos disguised as hospitality?" Silence. Then, from the back of the chamber, a junior delegate raised a trembling tendril. "The dish was labeled spicy mango chutney. It smelled delightful." Tkal's eyes narrowed. Delightful. Until it hijacked 3 central nervous systems and left an ambassador sobbing about childhood traumas, childhoods he never had. No one laughed. This was serious. The Federation had seen wars start for less. By unanimous vote, Earth's cuisine was banned pending full investigation. Cultural hazard level, critical. Jackson Morelli's apron was splattered with turmeric and defiance. He stood over a sizzling pot of biryani in the Earth Embassy kitchen in New York, adjusting the saffron thread count like a painter brushing final highlights. His AI assistant beeped beside him. Incoming transmission, Priority 1. From Galactic Federation Council. To Jackson Morelli, Cultural Attaché, Culinary Arts. Subject: Defense Request. He blinked. Defense? What the hell now? The message unfolded, projected into the air. Earth's food had been suspended. Immediate representation was required. The hearing was in 72 Earth hours. Failure to comply would result in permanent culinary exile. Jax sighed, wiped his hands on his apron, and looked up at the skyline. So, this is how pizza starts a diplomatic war. His ship, a diplomatic courier equipped with a food-grade galley, cut through hyperspace. Jax didn't sleep. He revised defense points while sipping black coffee, pacing between crates of vacuum-sealed kimchi, sourdough cultures, and dry-aged ribeye. The best of Earth, hand-picked and sealed in carbon-neutral packaging. The first thing that hit him as he stepped off the ramp onto Diplomatia Prime was the scent, ozone, sterilizer, and something faintly fishy. He hated it already. A gleaming droid approached. Sleek, humanoid chrome. Its voice was polite but cold. "Welcome, Culinary Attaché Morelli. I am Garnish, your temporary AI liaison. Please do not feed unauthorized personnel." Noted. Jax eyed the camera lens for a face, found none, and sighed. "Any actual people I can talk to?" The droid blinked. "Humans present. Sentience levels vary." "Great." The Federation Council chamber loomed above him like a cathedral of glass and steel. He stepped inside, adjusting his cuffs. His chef's coat was clean, crisp, and bore Earth's embroidered crest, a fork and a planet crossed like swords. Colvern stood across the chamber, regal and motionless. His expression didn't shift as Jax entered, but the murmurs around the council grew louder. "He's the one. Brought the soul curry to that peace summit. I heard he made dessert that made a Silax cry. They don't even have turducks." Jax approached the central dais. The judge, a 3-eyed mediator from the planet Vrum, cleared its throat through a sound amplifier that resembled a seashell. "Culinary Attaché Morelli, Earth has submitted dishes to our shared cultural exchange. Several members now report uncontrollable responses. Emotional breakdowns. Biochemical disruptions. One delegate claimed to see God in a grilled cheese sandwich. Explain yourself." Jax raised a brow. "Ever think it might not be the food's fault? Maybe the galaxy just wasn't ready for flavor?" Tkal's voice sliced the room. "This isn't jest. We have reports of dopamine overloads. Hallucinations. Species reverting to ancestral mating rituals after consuming barbecue. The mediator pounded the gavel. You will have 72 hours to present a defense. The burden is yours, Mr. Morelli. Dismissed. The Earth Embassy on Diplomatia Prime was small, quiet, and smelled faintly of time. Jack set down his prep crate and exhaled. Garnish hovered nearby. Your situation is statistically grim. Culvern commands considerable influence. A ban could result in total cultural sanctioning. I get it, Jax muttered, unpacking a jar of chili oil. One jalapeno and suddenly we're space pariahs. He sat down, running his fingers through his hair. He needed a plan. Not just recipes. A defense. The dishes would have to speak, but also persuade. The stakes weren't taste anymore. They were political, biochemical, spiritual. He opened his old notebook. Recipes, family memories, interviews with old chefs. A line scrawled in messy pen caught his eye. Food is memory you can eat. A knock at the door. Jack stood cautious. It was a short, scaled alien with wide eyes and a familiar smell, nutmeg and fear. I come with warning, it whispered. They will try to sabotage you. You must not trust the salt. Excuse me? The creature stepped back. They think you are dangerous. They fear you will awaken feelings. It handed him a small cube. A recording device. Listen. Then decide if you still want to cook. Then it disappeared down the hall. Later that night, Jax played the cube. Culler's voice echoed through his tiny quarters. The humans are reckless. They don't cook, they provoke. Their flavors bypass the tongue and reach the brainstem. If we let them spread, we invite chaos into our very biology. Jax sat back, quiet. They weren't banning his food because it was bad. They were banning it because it worked. Because for the first time in galactic history, species from across the stars were feeling things they couldn't explain. Joy. Nostalgia. Desire. Longing. And now, they wanted to bury it. He stood, rolled up his sleeves, and reached for his knife kit. Fine, he said. Let's cook them the truth. The next morning, the Earth Embassy kitchen was alive with the hum of preparation. Aromatics hit the air, garlic, ginger, vinegar, toasted sesame, and set off alarms in 3 nearby embassies. Jax ignored the complaints. If he was going down, it wouldn't be with blandness on his breath. He'd spent the night mapping alien biochemistry with Garnish, determining spice tolerances, allergen triggers, and emotional catalysts by species. The data was grim. Half the delegates had never tasted sweetness. A third couldn't metabolize fat. And one species went into hormonal frenzy at the smell of caramel. And yet they'd all eaten Earth food. Willingly. Give a being a spoon, Jax muttered, and they'll taste the universe. He was designing a new tasting menu, not to seduce taste buds, but to defend Earth's very place in the cultural ecosystem. A trial menu. Each dish paired to a specific alien palate, with biochemical buffers and emotional triggers carefully calibrated. As he arranged spice racks and prepped proteins, a familiar voice chimed in. Are you really going to serve soup as testimony? Culvern stood in the entryway, arms crossed, disgust written in every line of his scaled face. Not just soup, Jax said. French onion. A memory in a bowl. You mock the process. I cook the process. Cull stepped forward, nostrils flaring slightly. We have isolated over 40 compounds in your condiments that trigger emotional flashbacks. Do you understand how dangerous that is? That's what memories are. Chemical echoes, Jax said, setting down his ladle. Ours just taste better. Cull's lips curled. We will shut this madness down. No more Earth snacks triggering diplomatic tears. No more grilled cheese epiphanies. Your comfort food is psychological warfare, Chef Morelli. And I will not let it corrupt the Federation. He turned and stormed off. Tell your taste buds I said hi, Jax called after him. Later, the kitchen lights flickered. Garnish whirred nervously. Power fluctuation in secondary grid. Possible tampering. Jax frowned. Show me the logs. The surveillance feed blinked. A figure cloaked in sanitation gear had entered during a maintenance window. The spy's drawer was opened. Replaced. The ingredients still looked identical, but Garnish's chemical scan told the truth. Inert. Chemically dead. Sabotage, Jax muttered. Someone swapped my spices for fakes. He opened the cinnamon. Dust. The paprika, just red powder. Even the coriander smelled like drywall. The hearing was in 12 hours. And he had nothing. For the first time since arriving, Jax sat down and said nothing. Garnish hovered silently until it projected an Earth phrase Jax didn't expect from an AI. I have stored backups of your core spice profiles. Jax blinked. You what? Your cinnamon profile triggered 3 positive diplomatic outcomes. I preserved chemical structure and olfactory resonance. Jax smiled. You beautiful, nosy little robot. He sprinted to the molecular printer, loaded the backup profiles, and hit compound synthesis. Slowly, the real ingredients began to rematerialize, saffron with warmth, cinnamon with bite, cumin with soul. But he needed more than spices. He needed voices. Jax called in favors from every alien diplomat who'd enjoyed Earth cuisine without melting down. One by one, they arrived in the test chamber. A Ilari artist, a Zenthi engineer, even a stony-faced Threx merchant who whispered, Your dumplings reminded me of my mother. Jax recorded them. Not testimonials. Truths. Stories tied to flavor. My race doesn't dream, said the engineer. But after your chocolate, I saw colors in my sleep. You made me feel something I'd never felt before, whispered the Threx. Safe. He compiled the footage. Garnish added biometric overlays. No hallucinations. No neuroses. Just emotional engagement. The kind of impact art should have. The hearing chamber was packed. Media orbs hovered overhead. Delegates leaned forward, curious. The council mediator banged the gavel. Chef Morelli. Proceed with your demonstration. Jax rolled in his cart. Covered silver trays. No theatrics. I offer 5 dishes, he said, each tailored to one species on this council. All biochemically safe. All cooked with respect. Each tells a story. He served first to the Ilari, a citrus-glazed salmon with lemongrass foam. The delegate took a bite, blinked, and let out a musical hum. His gills pulsed. Like sunlight in water. To the Zenthi, a mushroom risotto laced with sulphurous truffles. The diplomat gasped, stood, and nodded. The third dish, bone broth for the Threx, sent a shiver through the stone-skinned being. He closed his eyes, holding the spoon like a sacred object. The fourth, a frozen panna cotta with lavender and honey, triggered a quiet gasp from the gelatinous Zax ambassador, who whispered, I think I miss someone. The room fell silent. Call stood, jaw rigid. Emotionally manipulative. Unpredictable. These effects are unquantifiable. And dangerous. Jax nodded. So is music. So is love. So is diplomacy. That doesn't mean we shut it down. Call slammed a datapad on the table. Then explain this. The holofeed flickered. It was from earlier in the day. A delegate had collapsed mid-sample, clutching their abdomen. The cause? Ghost pepper chicken wings. Gasps. Murmurs. It was unauthorized, Jax said instantly. That dish was not part of my demonstration. Yet it bore your signature. Call hissed. We found your sauce. Jax stared. I don't make ghost pepper sauce. The mediator frowned. Can you prove this? I don't. The room was spiraling. Panic. Doubt. Enough. Call barked. I move for immediate expulsion of Earth's cuisine. This trial is over. The gavel raised. Wait, said a quiet voice. It was the Threx delegate. He rose slowly, placing his spoon down. I recognize that sauce. I bought it on the black market. It was not Earth-sanctioned. But it was real. It made me feel That wasn't poison. That was passion. He looked at the other delegates. You fear Earth's food because it bypasses our logic. Because it reaches our memories. And you can't regulate memories. He turned to the mediator. Let him finish. One final dish. One final defense. A long pause. Then the gavel fell. Tomorrow, the mediator declared. One dish. One judgment. Should it cause harm again, Earth will be sanctioned. If not, your culture shall remain. Jax's heart raced. He bowed. I'll bring the galaxy together, he said, one bite at a time. Jax stood alone in the Federation culinary test chamber. The room, usually filled with the cacophony of multi-species chatter and diplomatic protocol, was now silent. Sterile white counters gleamed under the harsh artificial lights. Stainless steel tools hung from the walls like weapons waiting for battle. And today, he wasn't cooking for applause. He was cooking for Earth. The final ruling would come down to one dish. One flavor. One moment of truth. Good morning, Chef Morelli, Garnish chirped. The AI hovered nearby, its tone neutral but tinged with concern. Vitals elevated. Heart rate unstable. Hydration levels below optimal. Thanks, Doc, Jax muttered, tying his apron tight. Let's make history. He named the dish Unity Stew, a layered medley of Earth's most meaningful culinary elements, adapted for 10 species biosystems. It was more than food. It was a story. He seared marinated mushrooms in grapeseed oil for the Amari. Blistered tomatoes for the aquatic Ilari. Infused bone stock for the stone-skinned Threx. Roasted sweet plantains and glazed lotus root for the Zax, who metabolized sugars through skin. The dish changed with each bite, each species receiving a molecularly tailored portion, yet rooted in the same base broth. The scent alone would be enough to draw a crowd on Earth. Here, it could start a war, or end a cultural cold front. As the aroma began to rise, Jax glanced at the empty gallery seats. They'd be full in an hour. For now, it was just him, his station, and a low hum from the heating coils. You sure this works? He asked, voice barely above a whisper. Flavor resonance suggests a 97% success rate. Emotional reaction range from mild warmth to euphoric insight. That last 3%? Rage. Possible sobbing. One potential case of spontaneous spiritual awakening. Jax cracked his knuckles. Perfect. By the time the Federation Council reassembled, the scent had reached the hallways. Alien delegates shifted in their seats. Culvern sat rigid, fingers pressed together like the jaws of a trap. Cameras hovered quietly, transmitting live across every system Earth had trade ties with. The mediator banged the gavel. Culinary attaché Morelli. You may proceed. Jack stepped forward, wheeling in a single chrome cloche. No theatrics. Just food. He pulled the cover off. A cloud of steam rose, subtle, complex, aromatic. It smelled like campfires and homesickness, like spice and stories. Each judge's portion was plated in front of them, tailored precisely to their biology. No cross-contamination. No triggers. No surprises. Please, Jack said, voice steady. Eat. Silence. Then spoons moved. The first delegate, a jelly-like Saxion, quivered. This tastes like forgiveness. The Amari senator, notorious for never showing emotion, closed his 4 eyes. It's bitter and warm at once. Like mourning and acceptance. The Ilari diplomat whispered. It reminds me of rain. But I have never lived on a planet with weather. Even the Threx, a warrior caste alien who'd once called ketchup a crime, nodded solemnly. It makes me feel remembered. The mediator raised an eyebrow. What is this dish? Jack stepped forward. It's us. It's famine and feast. Celebration and survival. This stew has roots in over 20 Earth cultures. Recipes born in war, exile, poverty, joy. It's what humans do, we adapt, blend, remember. And in every flavor there's a story. A truth. He paused, letting the words settle. You called our food dangerous. You're right. It challenges assumptions. It bypasses filters. It brings emotion to the surface. But that's not a weapon. He took a breath. That's connection. Carl stood slowly. No, he said, voice cold. It's a threat. All eyes turned to him. Your dish bypasses biology, triggers chemical storms. It hijacks the self. One of our delegates described a vision. What if this food becomes widespread? What if we lose who we are? He pointed at Jax. You may have cooked with care. But what happens when someone less principled starts exporting emotional control? Jax didn't flinch. Call, he said. You're not afraid of food. You're afraid of change. Afraid that something as simple as stew can make empires feel. You want control. I want understanding. The chamber froze. Then, without warning, Call grabbed a spoon from the Threx's plate and tasted the stew. The room held its breath. At first, nothing. Then a twitch. His eyes closed. His breathing slowed. He staggered back a step. This is my grandmother's voice, he whispered. But I never knew her. He looked at Jax, voice cracking for the first time in public memory. I smell fire and silk. I remember the day I left my home planet. I was 5. It was raining, rain. How do I remember rain? He dropped the spoon. This dish is wrong. The mediator leaned forward. Or perhaps it is right. Final judgment came an hour later. The mediator rose. We, the Federation Council, declare Earth cuisine not hazardous, but culturally catalytic. Restrictions lifted. Distribution to resume under Culinary Code Class A, Emotive Cuisine Classification. Cheers erupted. Holograms lit the sky above the station. The media spun faster than sugar in a fairground vat. Call, defeated, left in silence. Jax exhaled and sat down on the chamber steps. Garnish floated beside him. You won. No, Jax said, grinning. We got them to taste. 2 months later, the Galactic Culinary Institute opened its first campus aboard Diplomatia Prime. Jax served as founding instructor. Earth cuisine now carried a universal caution label. May cause strong emotions, cultural nostalgia, and insight. Consume with care. Lines wrapped around the block. Delegates from 17 species signed up for dumpling workshops. Children giggled through Esmore's roasting tutorials in Zero-G. A Zenthi baker opened the first alien-run pizza stall. And Jax? He flipped pancakes under a dome of stars, grinning like a kid who got away with something. He looked up at the black canvas of space. Dangerous? He murmured. Sure. But damn, we taste good.